Join His Prime is live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up, apply draconian sanctions against any political party that goes to court over election results if their petition is baseless. That's the proposal of former EC chairperson Tiwa Savage.
To prevent the rush to court with improbable election petitions from becoming a fashion, I suggest that election petitions that do not succeed should attract punitive sanctions.
Details as he cautions the EC against foisting its decisions on political parties, insisting consensus must be built at IPAC first. Now, Deputy Majority Leader takes on NDC for accusing him of electoral violence in the just-ended district-level elections, insisting no violence took place in the Efutu constituency.
There was no such thing as violence at any polling station in Efutu during the just-ended district assembly elections.
Details as he fights NDC National Chairman Asiedu Nketia, who he says has allowed himself to be used for lies and a propaganda campaign.
I find it very disappointing that Mr. Asiedu Nketia, for all these years in politics, he will rely on misinformation to mount a political platform to attack me.
Also, GS to expel students for sex, skin bleaching, rape, while outlining other stiff punishment for unprescribed haircuts and dressing in new code of conduct for pre-tertiary schools. We have details. A former EC chairperson Tiwa Savage talks tough ahead of the 2024 elections as he asked the court to apply hard-hitting sanctions against any political party that will head to court with frivolous petition on electoral results. The Supreme Court in the country's political history has rejected 2 electoral petitions brought before the court by stalwarts of the major political parties challenging the integrity of the presidential results. Speaking at a public lecture to commemorate Constitution Day yesterday, the former EC boss said it's long overdue the court to discourage the creeping culture of using the legal system to hold the electorate to ransom.
As in all human endeavors, mistakes occur in elections. But genuine election mistakes can readily be discovered and corrected. Not so deliberate wrongdoing. To deter deliberate wrongdoing, all persons connected with the conduct of elections must be held strictly accountable for their actions by instituting a stringent regime of punishment for willful wrongdoing. All categories of election workers must be familiarized with the applicable regime of sanctions during their training, and any infractions must be seen to be punished. It appears that some candidates rush to court with election petitions alleging manipulation of results, primarily to placate their financiers and supporters so that they will be given another chance to be a candidate the next time. The rush can cause undeserved injury to the reputation of the Electoral Commission and unnecessary inundation of the courts. As we speak, there are well over 1,000 election petitions before the courts in Nigeria. To prevent the rush to court with improbable election petitions from becoming a fashion. I suggest that election petitions that do not succeed should attract punitive sanctions.
He also cautioned the EC against imposing changes in the electoral system on political parties, insisting it's a recipe for confusion.
The Electoral Commission must view the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, as a convenient forum for discussing changes to our electoral practices, irrespective of whether the intended change originates from the Commission or the parties. The reason is that it is not good practice to foist changes in electoral practices on important stakeholders like political parties. It is prudent to discuss any intended changes thoroughly at IPAC meetings with a view to achieving consensus. If consensus is achieved, the IPAC then becomes a convenient vehicle for disseminating the changes to the electorate.
Although Mr. Afarijan's proposal comes across as controversial, it seems to be gaining strong backing from attorney generals of the two major political parties who are endorsing harsh sanctions against advocates of baseless electoral petitions. Take a listen to Joe Gatti and Marietta Brew appeal poem.
If it is frivolous, you go to court on a frivolous claim. I think that for every case, not just election-related disputes, there should be punitive costs. But, I mean, if it's not and there is merit in the case, why should you be mulcted in heavy costs or damages or whatever?
If you have no basis for bringing an electoral petition, don't bring it. I added that such a person is a threat to democracy. It's undermining democracy. I understand that they do it to keep their foot soldiers happy. I understand that they do it so that they continue getting finance. Such a person should be banned from taking part in elections for a period. You are not fit to be a public officer.
Now let's go on to a phone line and speak to Chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of the MPP, Frank Davis, and also joining us is lawyer Eduji Tamaklo, who is Director of Legal of the NDC. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us here. Now, let me start with you, Mr. John Davis. What do you make of this proposal that some stiffer punishment should be given to people who go to court with frivolous cases? First off, how can I determine that my case is frivolous?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your esteemed viewers and listeners. And to correct you, my name is not John. It's my partner who is John Davis. I'm Frank Davis.
It's Frank. Sorry. Thanks for the correction. Yes, Frank Davis.
Thank you. I don't know, but this was going to be a repetition of what you did on early on. But my position is simple. Every lawyer should know the worth of instructions which a client brings in respect of the case. So, from the get-go, when a client consults me, I should be able, from the instructions and the pieces of documentary evidence that the client has, I should be able to judge from where I sit as a trained lawyer that there is merit or otherwise in the case. So it could be a 60-40, 70-30, 50-50, or 100%, whatever. But I should be convinced that I have a good case before I go to court. So it is not just a matter of mounting litigation where there is none. More often than not, when we go to the Constitutional Court, which is the Supreme Court, it is to test the spirit, or what people say, the letter and spirit of the Constitution. So yes, when people have genuine cases which ignite an interpretation of the Constitution, or for the highest court of the land to make a determination, presidential election petitions are determined in the Supreme Court. There's no other court who does that. It is only parliamentary election petitions which are commenced in the High Court and determined in the Court of Appeal. Now, getting more closer home, this discussion has been triggered by something that a very respected Electoral Commissioner has said concerning these electoral petitions, the presidential electoral petitions. Indeed, he was a witness in court in the 2013 presidential election petition. So he has garnered some experience, both in the courtroom and from his work as a commissioner. Now, he has over the years also seen the kind of petitions which have gone through our court. We have had 2 petitions thus far. The 2013 presidential election petition and the 2020 presidential election petition. Now, what happened in both cases? The courts handed their reasoned determinations and judgments in the matter. The first one ended in a 5-4 determination by the Supreme Court. The second one was a unanimous judgment of 7 justices. Speaking to me, can we say, by reason of just sheer common sense and logic, which of the 2 cases had some merit? We're not even to talk as lawyers. Because if a case can split in the middle, 5 justices of the Supreme Court say yes, 4 say no. Obviously, it will occur to any common bystander that yes, this case was worth determining, or maybe there was some merit after all in the petition that was brought. My NFL will disagree with me and will call what I'm coming to say regrettable, but that is his thinking. Now, if 7 justices of the Supreme Court look at same matter, a petition brought by the NDC this time, and they all come to a determination, 7 of them saying that there is no merit.
Okay.
Now, I know the Supreme Court, they are constrained to awarding costs in constitutional matters because it is to test the Constitution and for an interpretation of whether one person feels that the Constitution has been infringed or not. But looking at it in these terms, wouldn't the Commissioner be right in throwing up the discussion that where it is patently obvious that you have come to court to waste the court time? It's not about rule of law or anything. You have come to court to waste the court time. Shouldn't you be boxed in court?
Okay.
And I am gratified at the fact.
Okay. So you mean that the Supreme Court?
Sorry. Let me just conclude on this. I am gratified by the fact that 2 attorney generals, one for the NDC, was NDC attorney general. Joe Gatti was NPP attorney general. They agree with the legal committee.
Okay.
That would be my point of view.
Okay. So your argument is that the Supreme Court should probably start, to charge people when they lose such cases in court. Let me bring in Edwige Tabaklo now. Edwige,
they don't charge people. They award costs.
Okay, so they should start awarding costs when someone comes to challenge an election result. Edwige, how best can this be done in order not for it to come across as though you are gagging a party from challenging an election result in court?
Okay, so good evening to your cherished viewers and good evening to my learned students. I think that the point should be made clear. Electoral adjudication, especially for the presidential election, is for a good reason why in the superior wisdom of the framers of the 1992 Constitution, they preserve it for the apex court of the land. Now, if you want to make court a factor, persons who are not or dissatisfied with the outcome of presidential election may choose the street instead of going to court. And you know the dangers associated with going through the street.
Okay.
So for me, on that call, I want to say that we need to exercise a bit of caution in that advocacy. Now, you see, like my senior pointed out, I do not subscribe to the conversation where it is said that because in one election petition it resulted in 4-5, and in another one it is 7-0. It means that the one that is 7-0 was favorable. In any case, it was not the same set of judges that sat. So you cannot even say that the same set of people who presided over the 2020 election petitions were the same set of people who presided over the 2012, and therefore the appreciation of the two different cases resulted in ABCD.
Okay.
It cannot be so. And I think that we should not do this. We should not do this. It is not fair. When we begin to do this kind of legal analysis, what it does is that it creates certain commentary that may not be good for even the judiciary. Please.
Yeah. I'm grateful to you, Lawyer Duji Tamako, for joining us, and also to you, Mr. Frank Davis, for joining us earlier. Now, to other stories, Ghana is hungry for balance of payment support, but delays in securing the needed finance and assurances from its official creditors is likely to put its program with the International Monetary Fund in limbo as external creditors debate on the magnitude of debt relief to offer Ghana. The Joy News Research Desk has been looking at delayed second tranche disbursement, trying to find out its implications on the IMF program. Lead data and research analyst Isaac Kofi Ajay joins me in the studio for a chat. Kofi, walk us through what you found.
Well, so we've been looking at the the negotiation that went on yesterday. That was the meeting between our external creditors, which they call themselves the Official Creditor Committee. They are the bilateral guys. So the countries that we are owing, co-chaired by China and France. At stake is about $5.4 billion that Ghana is seeking to restructure with these official creditors. Now, what is not really clear is the agreement on the cut-off dates. That is when they should start counting the new loans, or the point at which they should start considering repayment. This has become, some sort of a battle at the negotiation table, because some feel that it should be somewhere around 2020. Others feel that it was December 2022 that Ghana actually defaulted. So why don't we start from there? But we've done this before. That was in 2022 during the IMF Programme, where we spoke to 2002. Yeah. When we did this in 2002, we spoke to external creditors, which is the bilateral guys, the Paris Club. And what they did was that, so we are doing this to actually give us a sense of how the current negotiation may be, or the outcome will be. Because in 2002, when we actually did this, what we saw was that the debt servicing cut date was actually reset from January 1st, 1983 to somewhere around, June 20th, 1999. And so that gave us a grace period, and the maturity period, or the restructuring period, was actually around 23 years with a grace period of 6 years. Yeah. So what that did was that it actually reduced our debt that we owed the bilateral guys. That was in 2002 from $207 million to just $46 million. That was very significant because of the target that they had to reduce the debt by more than 90% then. Now let's see the next slide that talks about the restructuring that we're actually talking about and why it is important. The reason why it is important is that we went to the IMF for balance of payment support. And with this balance of payment support, for instance, in 2023, we were supposed to talk to our external creditors so that they give us the financing assurances for us to unlock some $1.2 billion, dollars. Now, because we were not able to talk to our external creditors to give us the needed financing assurance, we're only able to draw $600 million from that $1.2 billion that was scheduled for us to draw in 2023. So we could not get $600 million in 2023. If we were able to do that, we could have had $1.2 billion. Now, in 2024, the schedule is that if we are able to go through all the restructuring talks, then IMF should be able to release some $720 million for us to, support our balance of payment in 2024. But because of this delay, it means that the second review is going to delay, the third review is going to delay, and our access to this amount of money will also delay. So we need to unlock this first before we can go to the $720 million, which will come in two tranches. first one that's May 2022, somewhere around 360 million, and the same amount by November 2024, 360 million. And so if we are able to talk to the creditors and we get the first 600 million, then it means that when we make progress and we also get the 720 million, then it means we will be getting more than anticipated in 2024, but definitely we got less than anticipated in 2023.
All right, we'll still keep an eye on this particular development so we can update you on what is happening with these negotiations with external creditors. Well, to other stories now. Sex, physical attacks, inciting riot, and all misconduct tantamount to expulsion for students in pre-tertiary institutions. These are just a few of the misconduct cited in the Ghana Education Service new code of conduct recently released on its website. In a move to overhaul the country's pre-tertiary institutions, the GES has rolled out the stringent set of guidelines targeting everything from punctuality to gambling and sexual offenses. No more leniency. My colleague Faustina Safo has details of the hard-hitting punishment that seeks to reshape discipline in schools and joins via Zoom. So, Fausti, what other guidelines are there in this code of conduct?
So, Kojo, the 24-page document touches basically on all aspects of school behavior. Key among them is the flouting of lawful authority and the directives of school heads, staffs, and prefects. Now, absence from school or any academic activity without reasonable cause, wearing unprescribed or altered uniforms, also students without decent haircuts, as prescribed by school authorities, would face sanctions. Now, if you engage in any sexual relations, it constitutes a misconduct. Students cannot have sexual relations with any member of staff. And this comes with a caveat, Kojo, that such misconduct would not be waived, even if it took place outside the school compound or with parental consent. Circulating pornographic materials is also constituting a misconduct, Kojo. And any student who records anyone, either audio, video, or anything of such, and publishes it online will be sanctioned as well. Now, no student would be involved in occultism, according to them, if you want to remain in school. Skin bleaching or gambling, bringing of electric and electronic appliances. It includes kettles, mobile phones, computers, music box, you name them, Kojo. This is also constituting a misconduct. If you want to remain in school, you have to keep away from these offenses.
They say stringent measures. What punishment do these attract?
Well, so the punishment depends on the gravity of the offenses. The students could be cautioned or sometimes cancelled, or they'll be made to do manual labor. Well, if you are a prefect, you have a big issue. You could be demoted or expelled, or you can risk suspension for 2 weeks. You could also be withdrawn from boarding house or ultimately dismissed. Now, in some cases, when the school authorities decide that this student destroyed their property or made away with some items belonging to the school, they would be made to pay or replace it or face disciplinary committee. Now, every other offense, you could also be cancelled as well. But grievous offenses such as sexual offenses and physical harm, get ready to go to jail because the police would be notified and the students dismissed.
Wow. All right, thanks for those details there, Faustina Safo, my colleague here. Now joining us on this is Vice President of NAGRA, Jacob Anaba. Thanks for joining us, sir. Now, you are with a student or people. So what are your views on the code of conduct? Do you think they are punitive enough to ensure discipline in our schools?
Viewers. I think that most of them are punitive enough. If you look at what has been spelled out, essentially, when you have a disciplinary code like this, it is supposed to help the students to create a safe environment for learning, to make the students to become focused in achieving their academic goals. Okay. So, apart from helping them, it must also be deterrent enough so that students who have the idea of going through those misconduct will stop. So, if you look at some of the offenses, and then the punishment that has been spelled out, they are very good ones. For example, if a student harms another student, the student must be reported to the police. This cannot be handled by the school authority. and the police will take it from there. We recently heard of an incident in our discourse where an incident like that happened. So I think that most of them are deterrent enough, but some of them are not specific enough. If you look at some areas, like for example, if a student is absent from school, it's not telling us the number of days that the student should be absent and the punishment that should be meted out to the student. So we need to be very specific, the number of days that when the student is absent from school and the type of punishment that should be given to the student. Or another one, if a student do not attend assembly or school gathering, for how many times will we wait for the student not to attend assembly before we met out a punishment? Or he does not attend class or refuse to write exams. The punishment is that he must be repeated. For how many times should the student be repeated in the same class? So we need to be very clear on the specific period so that the carrying out of this punishment will not be problematic to the school administration or management.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us with your thought here. Now, also joining us to share his views is the Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. Grateful for joining us. Now, you heard from Mr. Anaba that he has issues that some of them are not too specific. Are you satisfied with his conduct?
All right. This is Divine, the Senior Program Officer, not Kofi Asare.
Okay. Yeah, Divine.
All right. Thank you, and good evening to your viewers, and Happy New Year to them. Yes, we have gone through the documents, and we are happy that we've gotten here. It is a call we have been making over the years that there's a need for us to have a unified code of conduct for our students in senior high schools, because previously each school was having their own code. So what is probably applicable in a school A is not applicable in school B, and it wasn't creating uniformity, especially when sanctions are being applied. So we are glad that we've gotten to this point by having a unified code. We have gone through the document and satisfied with a good number of them. However, just one provision that we have an issue that we believe that is not well spelled out. That is, we should look at the 2.13E. That's men's hair should be neatly trimmed and beard clean shaven. So again, because of the issue regarding people by their faith and keeping dreadlock, people are still not too clear about what you mean by the hair being trimmed, neatly trimmed. Is it that you want them to be entirely cut or what? I had an engagement with Ministry of Education, and they tried to explain that, well, in terms of faith, where a student is carrying dreadlock, the trimming over them may not be meaning that you should remove it entirely, but you keep it neatly. But again, I continue to listen to conversation on this from teachers and some heads, and their understanding is that trimming means that it should get to the head, to very low, meaning that regular should also be removed entirely. So at the start of the policy, also the guideline implementation or the code implementation already, we are seeing some misunderstanding over there. I feel what the GES intends to communicate at that particular provision, with that particular provision, it's important for them to have a footnote to explain it to the general public or any reader that picks it, or the heads of institutions, so that they understand what the trimming means, so that we don't get to the point where issues of religious practices would have to be in dispute as to where one would have to keep the dreadlock or not.
For me, because the Education Minister, Dr. Educhum, has revealed that government of Ghana pays 65 million cedis to teachers for extra classes every year. He also revealed that 40% of secondary schools are still practicing the double track system. The minister made that revelation on an Accra-based radio station. However, stakeholders have been raising concerns about the payment of this extra amount, while teachers are compelled to work additional hours due to lack of inadequate infrastructure. We still have, we've been joined by the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament and MP for Akache North, Peter Notri Koto. Grateful for joining us here. Now, 65 million as extra classes fee per annum. a justified expenditure or a self-inflicted cost?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. I couldn't join you on Zoom because I'm traveling from the constituency. Yeah, the minister announced that government released 60 million Ghana cedis as an incentive package to teachers in the various schools. Yeah, when the double track was introduced, we put measures in place to make sure that all ongoing projects in the various senior high schools were completed, because the teachers were going to be under intense pressure to do more than they could do. Because, one, they will be faced with more contact hours to perform than they would win. So what the ministry did at that time was to introduce this package of incentives at the end of the year. But for me, the failure of the government to heed the advice given at the time, what they pay the teachers and what the teachers put in, I don't think the teachers are being even adequately rewarded.
Okay.
Now, the 60 million, if you divide it by about 720 senior high schools we have in the country, it's about 85,000 Ghana cedis per school. That is across board if it is not distributed per any other formula. But it's not only the teachers who benefit from it. The non-teaching staff also benefit from it.
Okay.
It is assumed that they also remain in school to support the teachers do their work. So you see these women in the kitchen who work throughout the year without going on leave or holidays. They are all being part of that. So for me, the 60 million was even inadequate. Government should have even given them more than it has been doing.
Okay.
Because if you look at the sacrifice they are making, this 60 million is not worth it at all.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's bring in Divine now. Divine, you have done a lot of research in this field. Is this a standard practice where governments in Africa spend such volumes of money paying for extra classes for their students?
All right. In a current scheme of things, it's very difficult for government not to show that particular cost. We are doing the extra classes because of one main problem: teachers' inability, or not their inability, just because of the curriculum, the volume some of the subjects have. It's very difficult for them to complete within 2.6 years of secondary school education. So it's because of that they have to do extra classes to be able to cover up the content. If we want to avoid it, what it means is that we need to reduce the content size, and the curriculum review at the secondary school level offers us the opportunity to do that. If we are able to reduce the content size, and then within the secondary school duration, they can do that and finish the entire content, there will not be any need for extra class for us to be paying that. Even if there will be a need for extra class, it has to be looked at. The extra class has to be targeted to students that are not performing well. It has to be a special intervention for such students so that they can catch up with their colleagues, not the wholesale approach. So for me, the reform going on with the curriculum is very important for us to streamline the content size so that the 2.6 years or 2.7 years of secondary school education, teachers can be able to finish the curriculum, and there will be no need for extra class for government to be paying that. Or if government wants to maintain it, it should target just the students that are not performing well as an intervention strategy for such students to catch up.
Okay, Divine, grateful for joining us here. Divine is with the Africa Education Watch. This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. Stay with us. There's more to come. Welcome back. Let's do some election headquarters stories. And your election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Now, Deputy Majority Leader and MP for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, is refuting claims he unleashed violence on the constituency during last year's district-level election. Johnson Asiodun Ketia, at a news conference yesterday, made the claims against the MP. But addressing journalists in Parliament, Afenyo-Markin categorically denied using facts to perpetrate violence.
According to the NDC, in the just ended assembly election, there was violence in Efutu, and to them, I am responsible for such things. Let me say it with emphasis that there was no such thing as violence at any polling station in Efutu during the just ended these assembly elections. Rather, it was some NDC activists who attempted to stop voting at Alata Kokodo electoral area. And if they really want the truth, they should go and interview the electorates in that electoral area. That in Efutu, I do my politics on the strength of development. I don't do politics of violence. I don't attack anybody. I don't insult. I believe in an open discourse of ideas. And that has been the reason why I remain the MP. There is transformation in Efutu under my leadership. And that is something that nobody can dispute it. So I will not allow Mr. Asiodun Ketia and other NDC activists who have lost the political plot, who do not know how to manage my success in Efutu, to brand me. I will not allow that. I am not into electoral violence. I don't believe in it. I've always won and won clean.
Now, the Deputy Majority Leader also accused the NDC National Chairman Johnson Asiodun Ketia of allowing himself to be used as a tool to spread misinformation.
If they want to start their own agenda of creating tension in the country, they should say so. But for Honorable Asiodun Ketia, I will not call him dishonorable. I would show him respect. And I believe that he's been in politics long enough to verify things for himself before he put things out. In the least, he could have contacted me. And I find it very disappointing that Mr. Asiodun Ketia, for all these years in politics, he will rely on misinformation to mount a political platform to attack me. He's an elderly person, so I would be measured in my choice of words. But simply put, whatever information he has is untruth. They are false. If there should be anybody in Winneba to cry foul, it should be me. Maybe he's not aware, but I would take time to let him know how I've suffered in Efutu. In 2012, 2 weeks election, I was pushed into a gutter by a known NDC executive. He's still in Winneba, Abe Kunyakon. He and his nephew. We reported to the police. The police did not take action. The records are still there.
Now, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the governing New Patriotic Party, Bernard Enchubo-Siakon, has implored party delegates to demand massive improvement in vote for the party as a way of negotiating with incumbent MPs seeking re-election. According to Chairman Wontumi, the party has no intention to disqualify aspirants seeking to become MPs, but it takes critical interest in incumbent MPs underperforming at the polls. Nanabuachi Yadom reports.
The new Patriotic Party, proud to the January 27 parliamentary primaries, vetted and cleared over 120 aspirants. The process seeks to determine the eligibility of candidates who intend to represent the party in the 2024 general election. Speaking to the press after the process, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bernard Enchibuesiako, entreated party delegates to negotiate with incumbent MPs seeking re-election for better performance.
My point, and what I will always give in pieces of advice, is that those who, had a lesser vote from 2020 elections, that is where my advice goes to, that if you know that 2020 your votes reduce, you can think about, because it's MPP, we want to win power. It's not friendship. It's not this is my brother. It's not brotherhood. It's about getting the structure. Fortunately for us, NDC had choose their candidates. So I'm appealing to constituency executives, coordinators, and the polling stations. Nobody is going to influence them. They should choose what they want. And anybody who want to go to or who want to win, the polling station people should decide and also take a responsibility. You have to decide and take your responsibility.
Chairman Wontumi says the party has no intention to disqualify aspirants. However, it intends to win the December 7th election without favor.
Me, I went to election, so I want everybody to go to election. Dr. Bawumia, who is the leader of our party, went to the election. So everybody also have to go to election. So nobody is going to disqualify anybody, but we will negotiate all the time with the constituency. You can negotiate with them. But the region and national, I don't think we will do that.
Is the MPP breaking the eight?
Of course. I have already seen that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the next president of Republic of Ghana.
For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwa Kumasi.
Now, the founder and leader of the Hezekiah Apostolic Prayer Ministry, Ghana, has advised the National Democratic Congress, NDC, to pick a running mate from the Volta region or risk losing the 2024 general elections. Apostle Kwabena Owusu-Adjei said that picking a running mate from the NDC stronghold would contribute to an increase of the NDC's electoral fortunes in the region, as the electorate would feel appeased. He was speaking at a press conference in the Volta regional capital of Ho.
Prophecies have come, and NDC, they must take good care of their stronghold. That is Northern region and Volta region. The word of God says, as we repeat,
more of that story later on. Now, Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo is urging the media to avoid unnecessary sensationalism as the country gears up for the 2024 elections. Speaking at a meeting with the Judicial Press Corps in Accra, the Chief Justice noted that sensationalism has the potential of marring the peace of the country, and thus there is a need for the media to guard against.
All know that we have elections coming up this year, and elections make everybody nervous. It doesn't make you nervous because it gives you a lot of limelight. Suddenly you have, everybody is interested in the reporters. That's where your stardom comes from. But you are the makers, you are the breakers. You could be the breakers of the peace. You could be the breakers of the peace. Because when it comes to elections, for instance, the rest of us will just go and cast our votes. The citizenry will cast their votes. And then you present. Now, if in your presentation there's unnecessary sensationalism, that could trigger off situations which then we have to resolve. My hope is that through this year, you will do your best to learn the intricacies of the legal structures around elections. For instance, it's not enough to say that, elections are won or lost at the polling station.
Justice Gertrude Tokunu urged the media to get legal education in order to understand how the legal system works in the country.
In the Jachikwesin matter, which is still sub judice, and I'm not talking about the content of decisions, but I'm talking about structure and procedure. You will discover that that case has dangled into 3 areas of law, and those 3 areas of law were adjudicated in different forums. There was a constitutional issue, then there was the election issue itself, the election dispute itself, then there is the criminal aspect. Now, the election dispute itself was heard at the High Court, which is a court with the jurisdiction to determine election issues. And then an appeal went to the Court of Appeal. Now, under the Constitution, appeals in parliamentary elections end at the Court of Appeal. It is a very interesting phenomenon. It is one of those few cases that are not allowed to come to the Supreme Court. So when the Court of Appeal finishes its work, that's it. You can't appeal to a Supreme Court. And
this is Tojo on this prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Well, welcome back. Time for us to do Showbiz. And Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa is in the house. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Kojo.
Yeah.
I missed you.
I missed you more. Prosperous 2024, yeah?
Yeah. Many happy returns to you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, in a recent development, Tiwa Savage, the renowned Nigerian singer, has formally engaged law enforcement to hold her fellow artist Davido accountable for any potential harm she may face. In a comprehensive petition filed against Davido, Tiwa highlighted concerns about threats of assault and severe bodily harm stemming from her association with Sophia Momudu, Davido's ex-partner, which is also the mother of his child. Now, host of Joy FM Overdrive, Kofi Hayford, joins me on Zoom with more. Now, Kofi, what does the petition entail?
Okay, Jackie, so the petition is quite straight to the point. I'd just like to read a couple of it, like you have on your screens. It says, I am writing to bring to your attention a distressing situation involving myself, Tiwa Molara Savage, popularly known as Tiwa Savage, and Mr. David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido. And on the 23rd of December, I made a post which included myself and Sophia Momodu on my Instagram story, a feature on Instagram which allows you to put up a post for 24 hours. And Mr. Adeleke sent messages to my manager, who is also part of his management team, that I shouldn't worry and shouldn't say a word to him, and that I was taunting him, uttering very disrespectful, malicious, and derogatory words to my person. So basically, Tiwa Savage is alleging that Davido has threatened her life, for unsubstantiated reasons. She doesn't really know exactly why Davido is threatening her. We all know that this is a very distressed call, and this is a very, very unfortunate incident, because over the years we have known specifically that Davido and Tiwa Savage have had a very good relationship, resulting from the fact that both of them's children attended the same school, or probably actually attend the same school. And so they have had a very, very good relationship. But people are speculating that this is probably stemming from the fact that Davido's ex-wife or ex-partner, who is Sophia Momodu, is actually now friends with Tiwa Savage, and Davido is not happy about it. And so based on these threats, Tiwa has written to the Nigerian police that if any such harm happens to her in the days that ensue, or in the months that are forthcoming, then Davido needs to be held responsible.
Okay. Now, Kofi, what is she seeking to achieve with this petition?
Well, it's safety. Safety. Everyone wants to be safe. I mean, if you have people coming over to your Instagram, comment section or your DM or, any of your social media handles and issue threats, there are some unprintable words. For example, part of the petition said that Davido had actually told their mutual connections to warn her to be careful in Lagos because he was going to him up or her up. He used the F word over there. And that is actually a very, very serious statement to make to any other person. And so Tiwa is saying that, as outlined in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1999, it is actually, a threat to her life, to her privacy, and to her dignity as a person. And so she's seeking protection from the Nigerian police. And if she gets that, I think she will be safe. But even apart from that, she wants everybody to know that once she's not safe in the days that are upcoming, then Davido is responsible for it.
Okay, well, thank you, Kofi. Let's see what happens to this petition. Now, moving on to other stories. Now, in 2023, Ghana witnessed the meteoric rise of musical prodigies including Olive the Boy, Banzi Vanero, Slim Kid, and many whose infectious beats and soul-stirring lyrics resonated across the nation. Now, their chart-topping hits like Goodson and Hosanna not only dominated the airwaves, but etched their names in the hearts of Ghanaians. We have more in this report.
So give me more of that song.
Well, you were just asking me that if they were Ghanaians. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I never knew.
They are.
That they are solid artists with solid music.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their songs.
And the producers are also Ghanaians, though.
That's why I said I have to start rapping, because I think I can get people to help me.
I'll be your backup vocalist, by the way.
Can we try one like that?
Definitely afterwards. Now, Filer to Abdul Razak, known to many as Chef Filer, is constantly putting Tamale on the map, and as she stands on her feet for hours to break the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking hours by an individual. You know, Kujo, she's been cooking for more than 200 hours.
Yeah. I'm told she would finally finish at 266. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we have Lois, who is from Tamale. She's in Tamale right now. Now, Lois, what can you report?
So far, thank you, Jackie, and good evening. So far, she has cooked for over 200 hours, very close to 215 hours. You're looking at her ending tomorrow. So far, she has cooked a number of meals. She's cooked over 150 meals. She's served a lot of people these meals. She has even extended it and shown her benevolence, so much so that we have fed people on the streets, we fed people in the orphanages, and she's still going strong. I mean, for someone who's been cooking for 9 days, I have said so many times that her consistency, so the same way the food tastes since day one is the same way it tastes now. And yes, as I said, she has been cooking for a total of over 200 hours, and she's still going strong. A lot of people are here. Tamale has been supporting her. I mean, if there's anything, we should all applaud people who live in Tamale, or the people of Tamale, for how much they have shown up and shown out for this lady, because from dawn to dusk, they are here riding with her. Traditional leaders have walked through. We've seen politicians walk through, celebrities, and a host of people, and it's just amazing to see.
Okay, now, is she likely to end tomorrow as planned?
Yes, of course, she is likely to end tomorrow. It's not even likely, it's been confirmed. So we spoke to her team earlier, who confirmed that tomorrow at 10 a.m. this woman is dropping the knives, all the cutlery in the kitchen, and she has ended. So tomorrow she would end finally, and it will be 226 hours, and she would have, set a new record and put her in a very comfortable lead. So yes, she's ending tomorrow, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lois. And Lois is with Joy Prime. So hopefully we need to catch a flight tomorrow to Tamale.
No. Lois can bring ours here. She has to bring the mutu and whatever they are.
I know, 150 dishes?
Yeah,
that's a
the
lot.
lady is solid. And congrats to her. I wish you could do the 300, but 266 is enough.
Yeah.
So congrats to her. And thanks to Tamale for showing us that we can be loyal to support our own.
Yes,
I hope that we do carry this on. And thank you so much for being part of us. That's how we wrap up the show. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Happiness is Prime Business with Emma Davis. Good evening.